people that are intersex, they'll set out to take those 23andMe tests to find out what their DNA and ancestry is, and it'll often come back inconclusive because the test can't say what they are definitively.
Yeah.
Like, you know, another thing is one of my favorite stories, and this is great because, you know, we were all at Disney when Hercules came out. We all got so excited about that new parade and the muses and just Greek mythology in general being celebrated at Disney. And in Greek mythology, intersex beings were above the gods of Mount Olympus. And in one of their stories, they believed that intersex people split, had an agreement with Zeus and all the gods at Mount Olympus and said, look, we will sacrifice our own lives and split ourselves to go down and be people on earth. And then that way, the people on earth will always be searching for that extra half that makes them whole. And then you can be the gods at Mount Olympus that kind of rule over everybody. But that intersex people are celebrated in a lot of cultures. But here in the westernized culture, it is a construct that you be XX or XY, and you can't be anything in between. Intersex beings have been alive and well for centuries.
Yeah.
In Rome, before Christ, there was a woman named Cybele, and she was kind of supported and loved as the originator before Mary. So before Jesus's mother, Mary, she would have been kind of that parallel imagery.
Okay.
Well, if you were intersex back then, you became a member of the Cybele tribe, and they often would put you away in Roman times. You were not allowed to go into public by yourself, and you were used as a mystic at parties. They would pull you out and you could be a mystic or like a seer, and then you were used as a sex slave. So think sex trafficking before Christ in Rome. It would have been all intersex people if you weren't killed at birth, because they did believe that if it was found out at birth, that you came from a water god, so they would put you back into a vessel and send you back to the water god at birth as a sacrifice.
Oh my gosh. How
so
tragic.
we've been around for centuries. One of the things today, which is so important, is people talk about being erased, and communities talk about being erased. And by not honoring that we're intersex, and by terminating us or by changing us at birth to be something that fits your own narrative, you're essentially erasing intersex people completely off the face of the earth. And there's a reason we're here. I really feel like that. I feel like as a Christian, I grew up Christian. God creates intersex in every species that breathes.
Yeah.
There have been blue whales that have been discovered XXY, kangaroos, there are birds that are showing up recently that have a split intersex body. And I've always said, I think it's very naive that you would think that he creates it in every other living species, but not in humans.
Right.
Because we're not even at the top of that food chain. So why would he do it in all these other species, but not in humans? There's a reason that we're supposed to be here. So
I agree. I mean, why do we have to always be defined? Like, why can't we just embrace all of our differences? Because no one is exactly the same. And we have
think about it, even to break it down for our Disney listeners and for everybody that listens to your podcast, right, that are former Disney employees or entertainers. Think about it in the sense of, we had the opportunity every day that we walked into the zoo to be a different character.
Yeah.
We didn't label, hey, you're always this character or you're always that character. And you know, because you got to do really everything that was in the scope of your height range and your ability. And I really sometimes even think of that and say, why can't we be like that as a society? Why do we have to label it? Why do we have to do the same character on Main Street every day? Because we all have different abilities and different genetic makeups and variations. And it is definitely a spectrum. So
why do we have to fit in a box? There is no box. I'm a big proponent of that. And that's one of the reasons why I personally love Disney. We were free and everybody it was so open to love each other. Yeah. And I can't explain it. You can't explain it to anybody. that department. It just was.
For me, it was my first place of acceptance to be who I really was and not feel fear for being myself. And I try to share that with everyone that I come across too, that I think that's why those years were so formative and important for me, as they were for you, as they were for Alicia. But for me personally, I was allowed to be myself completely and wholly, without fear.
Yeah.
That I thought I was a gay male at the time because I had all this feminine energy and there was no release, and I didn't have anybody in the 70s or 80s that I could go to ask, is this what it means to be gay? So I just, now I identify as a straight intersex woman and I date men, but I was dating men then too. So I mean, but I remember being at Disney and really feeling an acceptance and knowing that I was different, and knowing that that was embraced, and knowing that that was embraced even just in masculine role models that were mostly, for the most part, gay, but just everybody, like, you were just accepted, and we all had weird quirks, and it worked for us. And there were days where, I mean, you remember, there were days when you would be off work and you'd be like, I'm going to Disney and I'm going to go hang out and I'm going to watch so-and-so do this and my friends do that, because you didn't want to be away from it.
Yeah.
You didn't want to be away from that family.
Because that feeling and that family, Rafa always says, we are the island of misfit toys.
Yes.
It's our tribe.
Yeah.
It's become our tribe, you know. So.
And we were all attractive.
Oh yeah. Well, I would say, oh, you're the train with the choo-choo train with the square wheels, and you're the polka dotted elephant. It doesn't matter. We were all celebrating each other during that time and supporting each other at that time.
And because of that, I just felt like we always were having fun. Like every day was fun day Sunday every day.
And so many of our alumni have gone on to do like
entertainment,
TV and film, and are still kind of in that range of entertainment. But I also love that we're all still connected for the most part on Facebook. If you want to be connected, you can be. And if you want to check out, you can be. But we're all there for each other still.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I love that.
Juleigh, thank you so much for sharing your story. It's amazing, and you're doing great work. And obviously, big things are coming your way.
Oh,
with
for sure.
80,000 followers over the weekend.
Added. 80,000
over the weekend.
Added.
Yes.
Okay, 80,001.
Ooh. Juleigh, let's talk about your podcast. You have a podcast. It's called Rose All Day. Juleigh's a Mess.
Yes.
I love that.
And it's
great.
Awesome. You can find it on.
Decide on a title, so I was just like, "It's my show. Let's just string it out."
Why not? I mean, it's amazing what people name their shows. Kind of like what Trixie Mattel did. And she's probably got the widest range of followers from all of the RuPaul Drag Race fandom, and probably one of the most success stories too, as far as makeup line, movie, all of these other opportunities. So it's your world, honey. It's your world. You name it.
It is. I love it because I'm trying to get a wine sponsor. So we try a new rosé every week.
Yes.
And I'm like, am I going to run out of rosés? Probably. But
oh my goodness. Are you going to do wig changes and do like Moira Rose type of thing? That would be kind of hysterical if you did like a homage to Moira Rose.
No, she's got her own thing working. That's not my style. Anyway, Rosé All Day. I'm more of a Bravo housewife. Rosé All Day.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I'm kind of hoping I can get like on a Bravo installment. Anyway.
Well, you don't even know. Like, I'm always in awe of you. I'm always like, you are just so gorgeous to me. You're so beautiful. You have such a great light and vibe about you. I can't even begin to tell you. Always when Juleigh walks into a room, it's just, she lights up the room. And I'm not just saying that. I'm telling you, I will never forget when you came to one of the Area 3 things. And I was just like, oh my God, you were just so gorgeous. Seriously, you just have a bright light, and people will be able to see that bright light if you tune into our podcast or YouTube. Rosé All Day, Juleigh is a Mess. And it's
so on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube's the same as the website, which is justjuleigh.com. And there are a lot of great ways you can support even XXY research. We came out with new wine tumblers that say XX wine for
And
rosé
you
all
can
day.
go to her website and order the tumbler, justjuleigh.com.
Oh, I love that.
Juleigh.com. And they're insulated, so they're great for wine, vodka, milk, if you want to take your kids to the park. Milk with vodka in it. So we try a rosé every week. And then I always have a guest on, and we talk about current events. I tell them a story under the header of Julie's a Mess, where I will start with a story from my illustrious past. We've already told some Disney ones as well.
Hey, can you share one Julie is a Mess with us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Okay. So the way we do it, and I'll do it with you guys, so y'all can kind of finish.
Okay.
But I start to tell the story, and then I stop midway through the story, and I let y'all try and figure it out or tell the ending based on what you know about me and how you've worked with me. So I guess this is a future episode, but I'll just go ahead and tell you now because I like to pick it based on who I have. So when I was about 13, there was a boy in my neighborhood that I was head over heels in love with. His name was Grayson. I won't tell you his last name just to protect him now. But I just idolized him and would spend the night at his house and lay awake at night just staring at him, just watching him breathe. I know it's totally creepy. So 13.
That's such a girl thing to do.
Definitely my first crush. And then one day he came over to my house. He had been dating this girl that we went to school with. And he was really mad at her because they had broken up. And he told me that they were out of town and that he wanted to go do something destructive to her treehouse. And I thought, okay, I'll go along. Like I was like, I'm gonna go along and watch. And so I went with him, and he was trying to burn it down. So he had lit newspaper and fire, and how do you think this story ends?
I think it ends with you guys running back home and hiding in your house, and the fire department coming to the girl's house where she had her tree house. What do you think?
I have a feeling the parents found out and you got a good scolding. Like, go ahead.
So, my life.
Oh, wait. You guys were hiding in his closet. We'll make it a little bit more.
Oh,
7
wait.
minutes in heaven.
In heaven. Yes. I was saying, it's not been the bottle, but yes, the dare. 7 minutes in heaven. Oh, my.
So, he was trying to light it and it wouldn't light. And little old Julie,
you could get it done.
Bradford at the time, said, "Oh, let me show you how to do it." My dad used to tell me that you have to have really good kindling. So I showed him how to roll the paper and where to stick it in the treehouse. And threw like lighter fluid on it and then lit the match, and he lit the match, and that thing went up like an inferno.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my
and
goodness.
I got arrested at 13 for arson. And I was like, but I was just, well, they were like, did you help him? And I was like, well, he's cute. Of course I helped him. And they were like, arrested. And it fell off. It was expunged and fell off of my record at 17.
Oh,
ironically,
wow.
the year I found out I had XXY. So like,
oh, wow.
You know, I went from one extreme to the other. But so that's how we do it on justjuleigh.com to kind of tell you about, you know, Juleigh is a mess. Then we ask questions. I ask questions of my guests, 5 questions about them or us. And then at the end of the show, they get to ask me one question about what it's been like to live an intersex life in my journey. So a question that maybe they've always wanted to ask me, but they never had the courage or didn't know how to form the question. And then that gives me the opportunity to answer their question, but also inform the rest of the world about what it's like to live a very intersex public life. And so it's weekly at 7 p.m. Eastern on justjuleigh.com, on either the YouTube site or just by going to the website.
I'm ready to rebrand you, justjuleighthefirestarter.com.
Right. Julie, I have to tell you, I would have done the same thing. That's like such a girl thing. I'll help you.
Yeah.
Come on, I have a crush on you.
With the
I'll light it on fire for
gasoline
you.
on
If
there.
I help him burn down the world, he'll marry me. I was
Just think how you guys would look like in the
Okay,
firelight.
Grayson, you owe Julie big time.
I mean, he got arrested too.
I know, but still, he brought you down.
I don't talk to him anymore. I may or may not have Googled him to see if I can
Of
find
course.
him.
What does he look like now? Is he still cute?
Who knows? I always thought he looked like the what was his name? I always thought he kind of looked like Elliot from E.T. a little bit.
Oh, Elliot's cute.
Okay.
But now, like, I mean, that would have been perfect too, because you figure intersex, alien, Grayson. It could have been a whole like E.T. moment. We could have flown over the trees, headed to
Right off into-
Would you really have made it over the trees though?
Could you imagine? He'd be like, baby, for our anniversary, I got you a speaking thing and an umbrella. Great, I'm calling home. So, but yeah, so those are just some of the stories. And then Disney gave me a lot of good fodder to tell, because people often don't understand that whole realm that we were in.
No.
There's a lot of stories to tell, and I hope you get to share that part of the story too, because I'm currently working on my own book too of memoirs, and that will definitely have an excerpt in there as well.
Am I going to be in your book?
Sure. Okay. Yes.
I'm just kidding.
It was more about the bad decisions. What's that?
I said, can you imagine? Everybody will be Toma, Pill. Can we all be in your book?
I know, right? Well, I was your back-to-back.
Yes.
That's how we became friends.
We're back-to-back Pluto.
I love it. And Alicia, you and I got to do some sets together.
Yes.
Some good times with
Yes.
shoes that didn't ever fit
I
and
know.
chin straps.
Right.
Oh my God. That could be the name of a chapter, chin straps.
Right.
It could be.
or even
Defog.
Yeah, I was gonna say what we're spraying in our heads.
Oh.
Look, or a chapter based on losing your head, which could be a whole like Alice tie-in, because I never wore my chin strap in that unit.
Yes. Next thing, there's some screaming kid.
So much fun. And just even now you listen to kids that are in that department. It's a whole different shift. I went back a couple of years ago and somebody introduced me to one of their coworkers and said, this is Juleigh. She used to be in entertainment during the golden years. And I was like, making me sound like I'm 90. And he said, no, I meant the golden years where y'all got to play and run around and do things that you would never get to do now.
Oh my gosh.
I went, well, that's a different way to think about it. But yeah, like when we were there, we had integral freedom to kind of just be in the character and be in the moment and have fun. And they don't get to do that anymore.
No. The best thing I did, the Birthday Land show. And I remember sometimes the shows would go down and we couldn't put the show up. So what we would do is all switch roles and run the show and do crazy things like that. It was so much fun. I'm sure
that's a lot of fun. So funny enough, I probably saw you before I started working there, but I would go on field trips. Like when I lived in Houston, around the time that I set fire to that treehouse.
Yeah.
I got to come do magic music days. And I remember I would see when the times were for Mickey's birthday show, because I thought it was so cute and original. And all my friends would be like, let's go ride this, let's go ride that. And I'd be like, no, I have to go see Mickey's birthday show. And
isn't that the greatest? That's my favorite to this date. It was still my favorite.
I mean, y'all got to dance on the cake at the end.
Oh
I was like, it's very Muppet-esque. Like I wanted to be, I was like, I want to be on that cake. Like I was all about the show.
It was the best show. It was a dream. I absolutely love children, and the children just would be up at the front. The energy, everything. It was an amazing, amazing show, and I loved it, and I'm so thankful that I got to be a part of it.
I never did the show. I helped dress, and I also did VIPs adjacent. But in that atmosphere, it just felt so inclusive. You just couldn't help but just feel all of that joy while you're in the audience and being a part, of that. Yeah, by hands down. And all the characters got to be a part of it, right? That was the fun part.
Yes.
Pluto came out, Minnie Mouse was making the cake, Chipmunk showed up and caused pandemonium.
And they're throwing Coca-Colas in the cake, and Pluto's trying to stick his bone in the cake. I mean, it was just the cutest show. And then how does it end? With a dance on a birthday cake.
With a huge dance on a birthday cake. I was like, did anybody ever fall off the cake? Now that I've been in,
I think someone did. I do feel.
But in this adult life, I've gotten to be on Glee and The Mentalist and a dead hooker on CSI, and I've gotten to do things. And
What episode? What episode?
I'm gonna Google that.
Yeah, I'm watching it tonight.
So the dead hooker on CSI, I literally was in an alley and I couldn't breathe, and it was CSI Las Vegas, and I had just gotten my SAG card in 2010, and I ended up making $1,800 for 16 hours.
Oh, wow.
Laying in a cold pond behind a dumpster. Half my face was covered, and they were just like, quit breathing. And I'm like, oh, fucking cold. But then The Mentalist.
What about Glee? Glee too.
Glee, I played, I know, right? Glee, I played funny that I live in Nebraska now. I played a Midwestern drag queen in the episode where Kurt goes back to Lima and finds out that Darren Criss is dating the football star that terrorized him. I don't know the exact episode, but
he had the hots for him
secretly. Bar, and you can totally see my smile right behind Darren Criss's ear. So people are like, "Oh my God, I see her!" And I was like, "That was I did have a speaking role, and they ended up editing it out, but that was good money too." Like, so I've gotten to do some really great things in my adult career, which, I wouldn't have probably had the confidence to pursue them if it wasn't for working at Disney for all those years.
That goes back to learning that life lesson, right? You're not always going to get what you want. Things are not going to fall in your lap. It takes that ambition or the nerve to go after what you want.
Kristen Chenoweth wrote in her book, A Little Bit Wicked, a couple of years ago, that one of her most prolific moments with her dad was she had entered a singing contest. And she'd been singing for a while. She knew she had a good voice, but she entered this contest in high school and she didn't win. And she was devastated. And her dad said, Kristen, there's always going to be a winner and loser in every situation. And you honestly, even if you have the talent, you can't always be the winner.
Right.
Sometimes you're going to have to lose, and you're going to have to take that loss and form it into whatever you form it into, but you're not always going to win. Even if you're the most talented there, even if you're the prettiest there, even if you have the best resume there, even if you're just not always going to win.
Leotards, the leg warmers. Yeah.
And I think that's an important lesson too. And I think it's also a very important lesson when you do have a lot of confidence and you do believe in yourself, to the point where maybe you get away from yourself a little bit and you need that grounding experience to, I don't want to say kick you back down, but definitely make you kind of go, okay.
But speaking of that, it's like almost maybe you're supposed to go in another direction. Maybe not even that it's you win or you lose. Maybe there's something else. There's another opportunity for you out there. Just like you said, you living as an intersect, that was your life. That was your destiny. That was the course, and look at where it's taken you.
I definitely feel like people ask me all the time. I definitely feel like when I was given the opportunity at the NIH to extend my life, that it was my turn to kind of use that platform to educate, because there are a lot of people in the intersex community that don't have a voice. And then there are a few that may have a voice, but don't want to talk about it because they want to fly under the radar. And there's so many social constructs kind of built around admitting that you're intersex, so that you have these differences. And I feel like that is my purpose. I feel like I've been given that extended run, and I've been giving a few more laps on the race course and this new vehicle, right? And that because of my platform and because of where I've been and what I do, it's absolutely given me the voice and the soapbox to talk about it and to really change perceptions. I waited for almost 45 years. My parents grew up in the frame of time where my dad grew up in the 40s and my mom grew up in the 40s and the 50s. So times were different. And I often used to say, I really struggled to get my parents' acceptance and to listen to them. You know, I had all these struggles growing up. So I waited for them to be like, I'm proud of you. And I'd never, maybe they said it once or twice, but I'd never definitively sat down with them and had them say, we are proud of you. And when I said that I was going to talk about my story on a very public level, coming out of that beginning of that swing to the end of the female spectrum, I didn't end up talking to them for a whole year because of a fallout that we had. And right before COVID, right as COVID began, I said, you know, my dad turns 80 this year. They've got some big milestones coming up that I don't want to miss. And I'm just going to be the bigger person and call them and reignite this relationship. And so that was in 2020. And I went to Baton Rouge for my birthday last year to spend time with two of my greatest friends. And while I was there, my dad called me and he said, hey, do you have a few minutes? I was calling to wish you a happy birthday. And I said, yeah, absolutely. And my dad started to cry. And I'd never had witnessed him be so emotional before. And he said, you've taught me so much as an educator and as a parent. And he goes, I know you've been waiting a really long time to hear this. And you've done great things. You've worked at Disney. You've overcome all these great milestones, and we've never really talked about it. He goes, but as an educator, the fact that you were using this very difficult time in your life to educate and change perceptions, he said, I couldn't be more prouder of you.
Wow.
You know, and I'd waited half a lifetime to hear that. And I talk to them often, and they celebrate me, and we all celebrate the small victories, and we celebrate what happened with Florida and the pioneer kind of law case last year with Irene Pons, also a former entertainer. And now as I sue the state of Alabama. So all these small kind of milestones, but it took almost a lifetime to hear that from him. And it meant so much.
And I'm so glad, Julie, you got to hear that.
I think what's good is that you need to share that story, because not only are you using your platform to help people understand what they're going through, but also the parents to support their children about how important those words are, and not to wait such a long time to say them. So thank you.
I think what's hard for kids, I get a lot of kids that will come to me on TikTok and say, my parents don't accept me, or what I'm going through, or how I identify, and all of this other stuff. And I say, look, they are human too. And our parents are from a different time, right? A lot of this change that's has been coming in the last 10 years. It's been coming, but in the last 10 years, it's almost like speed track at Epcot, and it's like shot out of the gate. And so there are a lot of older generations that are kind of lost because they're trying to figure out, where do we go? And how do we change perceptions of what we've been raised? And no, a lot of people say, are you mad at your parents? And I said, look, my parents, we have been in the exact same storm, different boats. So I'm like, my parents found out when I found out about everything. And I'm like, so in that regards, I don't owe them an apology, because they didn't do anything wrong. They were given false information or no information, and we've all kind of learned together. But I implored people, I've always said, and a friend of mine said this, an older friend, mentor, had said, she thought, and I agree, one of the most difficult days for any child is the day they realize their parents are omnipotent and they're not gods, and that they do have fault, that we all have fault. And that, you know, the day that you can think of your parents beyond a parental role and think of them as somebody that's also on a journey, and a journey of learning and growing and accepting, once you think of them in that form and not necessarily in a parental form, your whole mindset will change. And your love and appreciation for them will change. And the fact that they have sacrificed so much to raise you and make sure you were healthy and in a good place And it's okay to give them pause to have to think about things because they're retraining their own thought process.
Right.
And that's key. That's so important.
And it's society too. Society has taught us how to accept differences. So they're fighting that too. It's trained us to say things are supposed to be that way.
And here are my parents right back here. I always
I
said,
was looking at that photo.
Well, they raised a beautiful daughter and a beautiful advocate, and I cannot wait to see what your future holds for you.
Yeah.
me either, guys.
Thank you,
I
Juleigh.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Breaking those ceilings.
And now it's time for a recap.
Is it an X or a Y?
Why does it matter? Goodbye, Pinto.
Hello, BMW.
Hey, let me help you with that treehouse.
I've got some kindling.
Follow Just Julie.
Is a mess.
Rose all day. Bye.
Bye.
That was cute.
That was cute.
We're like two Muppets.
Oh, wait.
I can do
Let's
this all
keep going
day.
for one more second because I want to talk about. Please subscribe to our podcast or our YouTube channel. Subscribe below. We need subscribers.
Hit the like button.
Yes, we'd appreciate it. And listen to the entire episode.
Don't drop off early.
Don't drop off early. We are interesting. We are. Kick. Kick ball change.